Pancake. Milkshake. Pancake. Pancake. Milkshake.
Ooh, I wanna try. My turn. Pancake. Milkshake. Pancake.
Pancake.
Hey everybody, look what I found! More pancakes!
Sweet, let's speed it up. Pancake. Eat, little bunny, eat.
Ralph, you might want to try feeding the kitty for a little while.
No, the kitty gets the milkshake. The bunny gets the pancake.
All right. Yeet. That was so stupid. Anyone who's been listening to our podcast or watching our YouTube channel for a while has heard us talk about mental health. Between Zach, Caleb, and myself, we have over 20 years of experience working in the church, tech, media, and worship world. And during that time, we have personally experienced seasons of burnout. Worse yet, we've watched as our friends and our colleagues have left the ministry because of it. But this isn't just a problem for church creatives. In 2021, Barna reported that about 38% of pastors were considering leaving the ministry. That percentage bumps up to 46% when you count only the pastors under the age of 45. Almost half of American Protestant pastors under 45 are close to leaving the ministry because of burnout. I hope by the end of this video, you'll be ready to face burnout head on. And if you're already there, begin the journey of leaving burnout. Most of your churches have already begun the process of preparing for the Christmas season. I can tell you that Christmas time tends to be one of the most difficult times for church creatives. It's certainly one of the most demanding times. It literally checks off all the boxes for conditions that help burn people out. Feeling lack of control, unclear expectations, dysfunctional work dynamics, extremes of activity, lack of social support, and work-life imbalance. It's easy to feel out of control when you have so much work that you don't have any time to communicate with your supervisors, making your expectations unclear and leading you to having hurt feelings because you feel isolated and unsupported, but there's no break from the chaos as you're spending more and more time with this extreme workload to get things done, making it easy to return to the top of the cycle and feel out of control. And it goes on and on and on in an endless loop until it gets too much and feelings get hurt and bridges get burned. Burnout is a real problem, and it's a problem in our churches. It's the quiet killer of ministry, but it doesn't have to be. Here's 5 ways for you to fight burnout. Welcome to Blackbar. Number 1, recognize the signs. If you can see it coming, you can make a change before it's a problem. Previously, I touched on the 6 factors that cause burnout: lack of control, unclear expectations, a dysfunctional work dynamic, extremes of activity, lack of social support, and work-life imbalance. It's understandable to feel one of these at any one time. That's just life sometimes. But if you're feeling more than 2 of these, you might be experiencing burnout. Burnout can lead to some pretty nasty symptoms. They include things like a cynical or critical attitude, irritability or impatience with clients, coworkers, a lack of energy, a lack of satisfaction from your achievements, self-medication, a lack of sleep, unexplained aches and other physical symptoms. Look, if you're experiencing any of these things in relation to your work, it's time to stop and do some self-evaluation. And once you've done that, you're ready for tip number 2. Set boundaries. As an Enneagram 2, I find this very difficult. I love to help people. It's how I show love and it's how I feel like I'm a good person. But sometimes this can cause me to overextend myself, and there have been times where I'm the problem. I've been working on trying to set boundaries, so listen to me when I tell you it works. Boundaries feel intrusive, but they keep us from doing more than we can handle. I could give all my time to work, but I also need to be a good friend and a good husband. Your work is important, but it's not more important than your health or your family. Boundaries also make time for other things that keep your passions alive. I've found that the creative individual needs to experience life to find creative inspiration. A while back, we actually had a video where we explained that people kind of split into 2 groups when they're looking for inspiration. You have people who look forward, and you also have people look backward. People look backward tend to look on their previous experiences, while people looking forward are looking for those experiences. Both of these things are valid ways of trying to find inspiration. You will be better at your job and be a better creative if you're not constantly neck deep in your work all the time. While you're setting your boundaries, consider things that are most important to you. Who needs you? What are your responsibilities outside of work? What are your passions, your dreams, and your goals? And how much time do each of these things need? Now, boundaries are going to look different on every person. There isn't one way to make it work, but if you're willing to put in the work to figure it out for yourself, it can revolutionize your perspective. Number 3, know your why. In the myth of Sisyphus, Zeus condemns him to spend every day rolling a boulder up a hill only for it to fall back down before he can reach the top. There is nothing more draining than knowing that your work is absolutely meaningless. But people have endured great hardships because they knew that their suffering would result in some gain. You only have to look as far as Jesus to see that example. He endured the cross because of the joy set before him. And even in the garden, when he's asking God the Father to take away his burden from him, he adds, "Not my will, but your will." And yeah, you're right. We're talking about Jesus, the perfect Son of God, but there are countless other examples too. Think of all the martyrs of the faith. A less extreme example would be a child waiting till Christmas morning to go look at his presents. I think now is probably a good time to mention that one of your whys is probably some variation of to serve God and his people. And in the midst of burnout, it's really easy to get so overwhelmed that you forget this, but your calling to minister remains. Ministry isn't easy, and often it's a very difficult road. We only have to look again to the heroes of the faith to discover that. And I encourage you, take some time to read Hebrews 11 for a refresher. Ministry is messy and difficult, but the calling is great. And sometimes all it takes is us remembering that our efforts have purpose, that what you're doing has a lasting effect on the world for us to overcome our burnout. If we are like ships on an ocean, purpose is our rudder, guiding us and giving direction to our movement. Without it, we're at the mercy of the wind and the current. With it, we can harness the power of the sea and use it to take us where we want to be. Don't be afraid to ask yourself, what is my why? And allow that knowledge to help you make your decisions. Number 4. Get help. Look, I could tell you every cliche you've ever heard, we're better together, life isn't meant to be done alone, whatever phrase your denomination is currently using to promote your small groups. But there is truth in those eye-rolling quips. I can't count the times that Caleb and Zach have been there as somebody for me to rely on to help keep my sanity. Having someone to commiserate with, especially someone who understands what you're going through, is essential. You need people in your life who can listen to your problems and help set you straight if you're out of line. It's also helpful to find someone who is an unbiased third party. Speaking with someone who isn't attached to your experience can help you think logically, and having that distance from your problems gives you the unique perspective that you need to make good choices. This could be a friend, but it can also be a licensed professional. Don't get me wrong, friends are essential, but if my brain needs a tune-up, maybe it's a good idea to have a brain mechanic check it. Therapy is absolutely an option here, and it shouldn't be looked down on. You're not less of a Christian or less of a creative because you go to a therapist. I have numerous friends and family members who have grown stronger in their faith because of therapy. So if you feel like it's necessary, do it, even if it's only for a season. The thing you don't want to do is to just sit in your feelings. I heard this nugget of wisdom from my supervisor. When it comes to your feelings, don't be a crockpot. Allowing those feelings to stew is only going to make it worse. It's when we open up and relieve that pressure that we can begin to heal. One of the reasons we created the Blackbar Discord was to make a community for church creatives. We're there so we can help equip and educate you, but we're also there to help inspire you. And if you're going through a season of burnout and just need to connect with some other church creatives, we're available as a resource for you. You can find the link to the Discord in the description below. Now, another part of getting help that you might not have considered is speaking with your leadership, or if you're a pastor, speaking with your team. As a person who has worked for almost a decade with pastors and church leaders, hear me when I say this. Your pastor is not locked away in his or her office plotting ways to make your life miserable. They're not even your enemy, even when it feels like it. Most pastors are dealing with just as many work issues as you are, and then some with ministry issues. And in unless you're communicating to them clearly that you feel like you're overworked, they can't help you. Which, listen to me, they do. Even if you keep a cynical mindset, they are motivated to keep you happy so that their work can get done because of you. They're not there trying to make your life miserable. They want to help you. Now is not the time for the unspoken prayer request you don't have because you don't ask. So please, please, speak up. On the other side of that, pastors and church leaders, you need to make sure that you're checking in with your team regularly. Try really hard to understand what things are making their jobs difficult. If you're asking your team to have an Elevation Church level of excellence, but the budget of a church of only maybe 70 attendees, you need to roll back your expectations. Most creatives are passionate, motivated people. They want to make beautiful things, and they may overextend themselves to make that happen. You need to be their champion and defend their time as well. Treat your team right, and they will do amazing things. So if you feel like you know someone who is getting burnout on your team, or maybe you are the team member that is getting burnout, it's time to schedule the meeting and come together without an agenda, but open ears. Now, I know I went a little bit harsh on both of those groups, but the honest thing is, if these two groups communicated better together, a huge majority of burnout issues would be solved. Because there's a lack of open and honest communication, your pastor can't help you or give you the help that you need. And on the other side of that, your team isn't able to meet the expectations that you're setting in front of them without doing it in an unhealthy way. So please, please begin the conversation. Number 5. Find hope. Now, I know that previous section was a little bit crazy towards the end there, and I have to warn you, this next one is going to be kind of a bit of a roller coaster. We're going to start really low, but we're going to end up pretty high. So just bear with me when we talk about finding hope. Hope endures and carries us through when all other things are failing. And sometimes that hope is in the form of a new start. And this goes for both pastors and creatives. You might be at a church job that just isn't the right fit for you. You could have done all these other things, but nothing is getting better. Sometimes the right move in these scenarios is to move on. Sometimes one season has to come to a close for a new one to begin. And before all my friends who are neck deep in their own cynicism begin sharing, understand that this has to be reserved as your last option. Your first goal should be for redemption and restoration and healing. But hear me when I say it is an option. For the pastor, you might have that one individual who is literally the best at what they do, but they're in a place where their behavior is causing problems for others and in fact disrupting the vision of the church. And despite your every effort to help them and give them resources, they won't change. Perhaps hope comes in the form of starting over and finding someone else to fulfill that role. The wrong person in the right place can do more damage than no one being there at all. And again, strive for redemption and restoration and healing. Finding hope can mean moving on. It can mean accepting what isn't working. It can mean asking the question, God, what's next for me? And though it can be scary, it's also an exciting place to be. You could literally be starting your next step in your faith journey. Another resource that deals with burnout is Carey Nieuwhof's book, Didn't See It Coming. In his book, he talks about hope in the form of curiosity. It works like a balm, healing wounds and smoothing over rough edges. Curiosity takes the place of cynicism. If you can stay curious and continue to learn new things, it can open your mind to new possibilities. It makes room in your mind to explore new perspectives. You might find that your curiosity brings a new understanding of your situation. You might find a whole new way of looking at things in a way you didn't before. And these might lead you to a road that takes you out of burnout. Keep that spark alive, and burnout won't be able to rob you of your passions. So let's wrap up things here. Remember these steps. Recognize the signs, set your boundaries, know your why, get help, and find hope. Even if you're currently in a season of burnout, there has never been a better time than this moment to start taking steps to get out. And again, if you feel like the Blackbar community is a safe place where you want to walk through your burnout, you're welcome to join us. We have a channel in our Discord that's all about the YouTube content that we produce. And honestly, we'll probably be discussing this one for a little bit. In the meantime, know that we are praying for you, that we're rooting for you, and you're not alone.